you wish.
No, if you've got 3 questions, go for it, Senator Wilkes.
I'll go for it. And Mr Simon, I'm no IT whiz kid, I can afford you. I've just got some questions from a constituent.
Can confirm.
Can confirm. Thank you, Senator Ludlam. But I can shear a sheep quicker than you. I'm informed that some of the issues people are suffering in the NBN space are around dodgy retail service providers who don't purchase the right bandwidth and then on-sell to customers who are none the wiser. The Telecommunications Industry Ombudsman reports indicate that slow or unsatisfactory speeds are a key issue for consumers. NBN have provided a diagram outlining the chain involved in delivering services. Can NBN identify the level of congestion in each area by retail service providers?
So, Senator, is your question in relation to Sky Muster or just more general?
More general.
Okay. So there are a number of...
Well, actually both, because I'm getting complaints about Sky Muster speeds as well.
So your question is, can we identify congestion?
Yeah.
So yes, we can see if the CVC purchased at our point of interface is reached capacity, but I can say that does not happen regularly, although there was a period where there was certain CVCs that hit that. But generally speaking, I would say that most RSPs, if not all, are running what we would refer to around about a 5 to 10% headroom. So as they get to 90%, they upgrade their capacity. Right. So there are a number of, to your point about slow or slower than expected speeds, if you look at the journey for an end user, they have their equipment in their home, often with a Wi-Fi device. They then connect onto our network, and then we hand over to the retail service provider. All 3 of those points can cause, and there can be an area of degradation. In particular, we know with higher speeds, your Wi-Fi device and the tablet you're using is very important, or the computer you're using, because in fact, your Wi-Fi device, if it's not capable of supporting the higher speeds, you think you're on a higher speed plan, but you'll actually be limited. It's choking. Yeah. Also, where that Wi-Fi device is located may have been okay on lower speeds. It might have been going through a wall and it was okay when you had a slower service. But now, if you don't locate it in the right areas, it will impact the ability to turn the higher speed. So
part of a small hose being put in the garden hose halfway along just restricts the flow.
Correct. And it's just that as you get higher speeds, anything to achieve those higher speeds, anything that impacts the frequency will have a greater correlating impact than if you're running at lower speeds. Well, so congestion is one area, but there are many factors, and this is when I refer to a better education. I think, and my point, that's what we want to lift, and my other point is educating the market about what they should expect at peak busy is also really important, because a lot of the complaints, when I read the complaints, is the expectation that end users have, and their expectations may have not been properly shaped because they haven't had the right discussion. So this is what we're working with our retail service providers to lift that level of education, and why I also said we do support the ACCC's proposed direction, because it will lift the awareness and also provide an independent body that can set some guidelines and, if you like, set a floor as to what the minimum level of service in terms of speed, achievability at peak busy hour.
So are there some retail service providers under provisioning services in different areas? Do you know of them? Can you find out if there are?
We can identify where there are, but it is not. They are not hitting 100% of their capacity. This is not a common problem.
So you're saying there's none in that position of those retail service providers?
I think historically too.
Historically, there were some. Yes,
there were some.
Yes, yeah, correct.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. The other thing you got to remember is
there were some. Are those some gone now? There are not any of those service providers doing.
So there was one service provider that had capacity issues, and they've upgraded since, and they've been running at around that 90%. But different service providers will operate their networks at different design ratios. It's not all the same. That's another thing. This is why this is very important, because in a market where you see a $60 plan or a $40 plan advertised for similar data allowances, you have to ask yourself why. Why is someone selling that for 40? Versus why someone else is selling at 60. Often, it's the dimensioning ratios and what we refer to their design ratios, i.e. the contention that they will allow, and that will impact the speed and experience of a user.
So do we have providers over-promising and under-delivering? In other words,
Okay,
they may be
so-
misleading their customers. They say, you come with us, we can provide this speed to you, then they're not providing those speeds. Is that a common problem out there, or is it a problem that's not so common?
So if you look at our research, 84%, almost 85%, as Mr Morrow said, of end users are saying that their service provider experience through an NBN plan has met their expectation or exceeded. So that would say 85% of the time, no. That's actually quite good. You then have to dig into what about the 15%? Why are they not?
That's the question.
When you look at the 15%, it's very clear, and you can see what's being advertised in the market, is the industry talks about get super fast broadband from the NBN, but they do connect users at 12.1. It's those two things are a bit of an anathema because you are connecting at the lowest speed plan. 12.1 is, no faster than what you would experience today on ADSL, and in fact could be slower. So it's not false advertising because they are telling users what they're connecting it, but the level of understanding of an end user that a 12.1 plan is not super fast broadband needs to be lifted. So that's why I'm saying we have to lift the education of the market and of end users that they understand that 12.1 is not super fast. In fact, it could be slower than what you get today.